Hello Internet, this is my new series. It is called Murder Makeup and I'm your host, Franco Makeup. Today we're going to be talking about the comedian Rod Hull from England and Australia. Rodney was born in Isle of Sheppey, in Kent, that is in England, in the year of our Lord 1935. He attended schools and did comedy, and then after joining the Army RAF, he then went to Australia, and that is where our story begins. Have you been to Australia? I have not yet, but I heard it's fun to be down under, especially during lockdown. So, when he got on the boat or plane to Australia, he became a TV person. You know, like Brian from Big Brother, or Helen Daniels from Neighbours. And his first job was being a lighting technician, which meant he had to hold cables and make the sun in most of the Australian soap operas. I have to apologise that my neighbour is updating their bedroom, so you may hear some banging, but there's only so many times you can shout at somebody, isn't there, guys? Especially during lockdown. I am using Huda Beauty for this look. This look is called Is That You, Emu? Is that you? So first I'm just creating a foundation with my foundation. It's looking good so far, and it counterbalances my what do you call this? Chin beard. Okay. He later worked with the big stars like Marilyn Mayo, and worked in TV in my favourite TV show, the Super Flying Fun Show. It's sadly they have not brought back. It was wacky, and he had a cat called Caretaker Clot. And he did this, and then one day he thought, I need to add more to my pizzazz, and then he decided to put on an emu of all things onto his arm and created his new persona, Rod Hull and Emu, which, as you all know, was a big success. Okay, I'm just going to add myself some colour. So, today we're going to go for a nice purple colour. Eventually, after his big success in the 70s, he decided to come back on a big boat or plane to make his fortunes in the UK, and he appeared on some TV shows. One of his TV shows was the Royal Variety Programme, and he didn't even have to win the X Factor or Britain's Got Talent. He just went on there with his fist up a bird's arse and pretended to attract children. And we loved it in the UK. We could not get enough of it. He became so popular, they kept putting him on chat shows, and all he had to do was attack the other guests, sometimes Muhammad Ali, Margaret Thatcher, you name them. He just attacked them with Emu, and it's the greatest of all things, because back in the 70s and 80s, we hadn't had those movements like the Me Too's. You could just attack anyone as long as you had a puppet, and it was a game for a laugh, which in fact actually became its own TV show called Game for a Laugh. This bit's harder. Eventually, they would give Rodney his own TV show with his friend Emu. It was called Show Business. No, it's called Emu's World, and other ones were Emu's Broadcasting Company and everyone's favourite, Emu's All Live Pink Windmill Show, where he met friends, the witch, the crocodile, and the robot. My favourite was the crocodile. I learnt a lot from his personality. Sometimes during the windmill show, the boys and girls who lived there full time would get very excited with deliveries. So during this time, they would be tickled pink in their windmill. When somebody knocked on the door, they'd all say, "There's somebody at the door." And then we join in at home. And then you find out that at the door it was a middle celebrity, maybe Christopher Biggins or Shane Ritchie. But sometimes it was an evil witch with her friends, the crocodile and the robot. And they try and steal the children. Yeah, exactly. Those days are very different. Let's create a flick here, because I know everybody likes a flick. So, flick, flick, flick. It's looking super. Anyway, back to the story. So, they'd have fun and games and lots of havoc, and eventually, like most things, the TV people decided to say goodbye to the pink windmill and goodbye to all the people at the door. This made Rodney Hull quite sad, because he wanted to do more things. He was more than just a guy with a bird attached to his arm molesting people. He could do things, and he wanted to do things, but every time he knocked on the door of the producers, they said, "No, Rodney, you're just a guy who has the big bird." And he felt, this emu has really ruined my life. I can do more, and this bloody bird is stopping me from showing my other talents. He could tap, he could do jazz aerobics. You know, he was all that and a bag of chips, as the saying says. So, he spent the 90s as a struggling entertainer. Meanwhile, there was a comedian called Stuart Lee and another comedian called Richard Herring, and they started their own TV show called The Fist of the Funds. And they had a character pretending to be Rodney Hull, but he wasn't really Rodney Hull, and he just loved jelly. It was superb, a lot of fun. And then on the last of the series, the action of Rodney Hull appeared, and yeah, he got into the fun of it, and we had a good time. And that was how I got into Rodney Hull. But anyway, Emu was really being a bit of a prick, and Rodney kept him in his basement, and Emu was not happy, as you can imagine. He kept calling his friends the witch and the robot and the crocodile to help him, but they weren't answering their phones because you didn't have mobile phones back then. And he kept playing tricks on Rodney to teach him a lesson. Like he would hide his jelly and SpaghettiOs, and he would enjoy turning off the TV. And one day, Rodney was watching his favourite football match with Manchester United, and the screen went all fuzzy. So Rodney thought, "Oh, Emu," and he climbed up his bungalow, and he went to fix the aerial. But then suddenly, he unfortunately had a slip, and he fell to his death. But where was Emu? So they never found Emu. But what makes it even stranger was the funny guys, the Richard Herring and the Stuart Lee, had made a new TV show with Rod Hull cameoing. And on that TV show, one of the stunts, Rod Hull pretended to die, which was then never shown on TV. So, how did they predict that would happen, I wonder? Strange. And since then, no one has seen Emu ever again. And that ends my story. I hope you enjoyed my vision. I hope you enjoyed the ambience. And I hope you subscribe, like, and maybe send in your favourite makeup tips, or if you want to send me a photograph of your vision, that would be super. Till then, guys,